Again, you mentioned that you had to kind of look at the roster before. And I think in the era of NIL, which we, currently reside in, and no transfer barriers, you are going to have to do that before every season to sort of see what the turnover has been. And so I look at this team, and again, I will concur with what you were saying, that on the surface level, there's a lot to be impressed by, because this is a big, physical, fast team, right? They fit the part. This is the team that's going to scare anybody walking off the bus. But having said that, we still have to be very real about the fact that this team said goodbye to Mar Bates, Will, to Tony Perkins. I mean, even Josh Gray, who I think what we're seeing in Sean Phillips is probably a little bit more polished offensive player, but same size, same sort of physicality. But I mean, they lost, not only did they lose a ton of production, but I mean, the guys I just mentioned, more or less, with the maybe exception of Ant Robinson and Mark Mitchell, that was your core leadership group.
Yeah.
I guess the question I would have for you is, again, and I know you didn't play in this era where things just change, but how difficult is it to hit the ground running when you have so many new faces and the chemistry might not be there, and you lost all the guys who sort of defined the leadership group of your team last year? I mean, what kind of a challenge does Dennis Gates have with this group to get them gelled quick enough to be ready to go within the next month or so when the games get real?
Yeah, I think it goes to the culture you build. So it is going to be high turnaround, but I think the culture you set with the player that you bring in that either graduate or move on, sets the tone for the player that you recruit in the portal. So it is the wild, wild west. You're going to have a lot of high turnaround, but I think the advantage of it is you do get a chance to really kind of handpick your roster and really kind of set your team up. So I think Dennis has built a great system so far. Like I said, these stretch guys, these 6'8", 6'9", 6'10" wing players are going to be really impactful during the SEC season. So I'm liking the physicality. I'm liking the ability of a lot of guys to stretch the floor and knock down threes. And now we just need Rob and Mark to kind of take the lead as kind of our focal point. But all in all, what I saw first game, I get it. It is Howard. But again, I'm impressed by what the supporting cast did this first game.
Tigers win 88-67 over Howard in their season opener. Sean Phillips leading the Missouri scores in this one with 16 points, also grabbing 11 rebounds. So a good debut for Sean Phillips. And Kareem, let's talk a little bit about the new faces, right? Again, so yeah, obviously Mark Mitchell and Anthony Robinson didn't stand out, but I mean, they've got track records that lead me to believe that, when the going gets tough, those are going to be the guys who have the ball in their hands more often than not. But we chatted a brief amount about Sean Phillips. So Sean Phillips comes to Mizzou via Arizona State. And, again, what jumped out to me is he looked the part, no question, right? Yeah. He might not be built like Josh Gray, but very few human beings are. But he's a huge guy with a big wingspan, and he moves really well. And, you look at it and what can he offer this team? Because again, you looked at last year with Josh Gray, fantastic defense on the interior, great rebounding, shot blocking skills, kind of gave you everything you needed minus much offense. Yeah. It kind of looks like Sean Phillips might be able to give a lot of the same things, but also, I mean, his low post game looked pretty solid tonight.
It does. I mean, I think he's a little bit more of a lob threat, a little bit more bouncier than Gray was last year. Gray was obviously just a physical body, but I think Sean kind of has those characteristics as well. He did a couple, drop steps that he was kind of bringing the ball low. I think once he develops a jump hook, he can be a pretty interesting weapon for us moving forward. That allows Mark to be on the perimeter. Mark is a very skilled guy, creating opportunities for other guys. So that allows Mark to be on the perimeter. And they said, once we spread out and have 4 round one, we're going to be pretty dangerous, come tournament time. And even SEC time. I think as this team develops and guys get more comfortable with each other, like I said, stacking wins builds that confidence, and then it's to have these guys in the right place.